Earnestly podcast here again. Marc Francois, friend, activist. You know it. What's up, buddy?
A whole lot, man. It's been an exciting time. I'm glad to be back with you. This is we finally did it. We said we were gonna be back in like less than 2 months, and we managed to do that.
Yeah. We were actually going to do a pod last week. Right after the runoff, but we kind of lost contact a little bit for a
Lost the
couple of days
thread.
there. Yeah, but we're okay now. We want to get. We wanted to wait to do runoff, and I kind of glad you waited because a lot of things happened even after the runoff was over. So kind of have like a
hmm
little like mixed bag of things to touch on, of course, in the political world and beyond. Um, I guess that's the first thing we're going to touch on. I guess really, it's been like 8-9 days since the runoff, and uh, Raphael Warnock did win re-election, and he's going to be now officially his first full term as senator of Georgia. He won by 3% this time. Um, Georgia's weird because Brian Kemp wins the governor race by 8-9 points. Secretary of State Rasberger won re-election as well too, and yet the Democrats seem to have a hold on at least on the Georgia seat here. It's is Georgia officially a blue state? Oh, or especially a purple state rather
I
officially.
think it. I think it's a purple state as long as there are candidates that can turn out the base and resonate with Black folks in Georgia, because Black women and Black folks largely in Georgia are who has you know reelected Dr. Warnock. So and won it for Biden. So I think as long as you can continue to produce candidates that resonate, and it's still hard to explain how Stacey Abrams can't seem to break through, but because she is a terrific candidate. But I think that the late pushes by Dr. Warnock's team, just they were incredible towards the end. The last like 100 days of the campaign, they were hitting every single corner of that state.
I I, I don't know if we'll
And
touch
and
on
also,
this
I
now.
think Herschel. I think it
Well,
can't be
yeah,
understated
he's a
how
terrible
badly Herschel
candidate.
Walker just like did everything he could, like walking around a room full of gas cans, flicking matches.
Like I like even with the with the win, I still find myself wondering how does this guy still get 40% of the vote, even with everything we saw. I mean, it wasn't that these weren't rumors. These are things that we saw. Presentation that 40% of that populace still believed that he was a better choice to be the U.S. Senator of that state than the other option. It boggles my
The
mind.
South is gonna South, boy. Like,
No, right.
you
No, I
know,
get it, but it's like,
there. No, it's it's really disheartening, but you continue to see it, across the board. Um, Republic in there was just an event recently in New York where it was like the New York Young Republicans had a whole bunch of these like neo-fascists and complete right-wing nut jobs, and nobody in the GOP leadership is saying anything about it,
mhm.
because at the end of the day, they want these votes, and a lot of these votes come from Georgia. I mean, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to now be one of the. She went from being a literal internet troll, walking around harassing like Parkland shooting survivors and AOC and others like on her Facebook, to being now one of the most influential members of the House, because she's got Kevin McCarthy by the balls, basically. Like,
No,
what in the actual fuck?
but can it be said though? She's winning elections. She's still winning elections, obviously, but she's winning elections in a district that's heavy red, though. Heavy red.
No, but it's reflective of the GOP's acceptance of this far right, white nationalist, Christo fascist, whatever the hell you want to call it. They like the right has got, like, the more entrenched that things have gotten, the more that misinformation has been able to permeate, the more that white supremacy has been given oxygen. Like, all of these things are coming together to create a right wing that wants violence, and the quote unquote moderate and reasonable people aren't speaking up. They're not denouncing it. They're
Some of
you
this
know
could be fair. Of you speak it out, then the MAGA right is gonna attack them. I'm sure there's a lot of that across the board.
Well, so you want the vote of Nazis or not? Like, where do you want to find yourself in history? That ultimately becomes the question. And yeah, the GOP has like a real white supremacy problem and a real transphobia problem. There's a lot of people in the GOP that want to put like trans kids in concentration camps and their parents in prison.
Yeah,
and that say things like gender affirming care is grooming, and when all indicators are that it prevents teen and child suicide. So yeah, it's it's not a difference of politics, it's a difference of ethics. And it's clear that most elected officials don't have a conscience on both sides of the aisle. But that the right wing it's tacitly approving really disgusting, horrible ideology.
Is Ossoff he's serving a full 6, right?
Ossoff, right? Yes, he won. He won
in 2020.
Yeah, he won the election outright in 2020. So he does.
So basically, Georgia's locked up for at least next 4 years now. On the Democratic side, in terms of that, and with that, of course, that gives obviously gives the Democrats now. They actually for all the talk about the red wave we discussed, leading up to the election, the midterms, and then not only did the red wave not happen, the GOP did get seats. They did get the House back, but by a couple of seats now. More. Look, I thought they were getting 20+ seats.
I heard one person call it a red ripple.
Yeah. The Democrats, meanwhile, not only did they serve the Senate, they actually gained a seat in the Senate now, by virtue of the win here.
Kind of. So now, okay, well, I don't understand exactly how this goes because of the whole Kyrsten Sinema nonsense.
I was going to get there now too, because now the transition now is now Kyrsten Sinema, who's a Democrat, who's been a thorn in a lot of Democrat policy preparation the last 2 years. Is leading the party.
I mean, she claims to be a Democrat, but look, she campaigned on a bunch of progressive ideas to capitalize on momentum that she saw shifting in Arizona, and then at every turn has sided with conservative interests, whether it's
but what did she also
stuff or anything.
I saw a stat though. I mean, maybe I'm wrong on this, that she actually did vote with Biden in 2 years 90% of the time.
Yeah, but she folded on a couple of really key pieces of legislation that the American public desperately needed.
Right. No, right. That was both her and Manchin up in West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's like talking about the team that has the best record in the regular season and then gets bounced in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, I mean, Phoenix Suns. Well, technically last year, second round of the playoffs. Well,
yeah, but like, whoopie fucking do. Like you folded when it mattered.
I'm still kind of surprised though, because if you had told me of the two senators that would have left the party first, I thought it would have been Joe Manchin in West Virginia.
Yeah. I mean, they're both trash. They're just both.
No, I get it, but it's like
they're just the worst kind of people. Like they're 100% motivated by their own wealth and influence gain. And
right. So a lot of the talk is that she's leaving. A lot of people think she's leaving because she's going to get primaried, and she might even lose a primary in that state. She apparently, according to some number I saw, that she's her favorability in the Democratic Party in that region is -54.
Yeah, because I mean, from what from the extent to which I understand how Arizona breaks out, like the blue is pretty blue, and so charlatans aren't going to be able to win primaries in places like Arizona, where I think Maricopa County is shifting to be pretty purple,
heavy blue. Well, yeah.
Well, because you still have, I think like Scottsdale and stuff is still technically Maricopa County.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's Pima. I could be wrong. If it's Pima County, well then never mind. But if it is Maricopa, that definitely keeps a lot of red in that district.
And I'll say it again, like we discussed it on the last pod we did a couple weeks ago, is that the importance now of the realignment and the shifting of the electoral college now. Like if we are saying that Florida is officially a red state going forward, Democrats have to continue trending in Arizona and trending in Georgia to replace Florida, because Florida is 29 electoral votes. So Arizona is 11, I think, and then Georgia has like 19.
Nevada, Pennsylvania become
Yeah,
much more important.
yeah, even more so.
You know,
So as long as Democrats do a job in those states.
Texas probably isn't winnable unless it's some kind of extreme circumstance.
Well, we said that Texas is still trending, but it's probably slower than we realize. I think maybe Beto was a little bit too left of a candidate to win that state.
I don't know. Maybe it's just he doesn't resonate enough. Like he just doesn't excite people enough. Like I mean, I like Beto. I think he's a likable dude as a politician. I think he's affable and everything. But
to the middle, I'm saying though.
Well, he might. I don't know. I feel like more white passing men is not necessarily what we need. And obviously Beto is mixed, and I don't want to diminish the fact that he's a Latino, you know, but it's like it's still kind of more of the same. And so I feel like there needs to be, there was some like je ne sais quoi that was missing that helped him to like, obviously he did a great job rounding up people, narrowing the gap, bringing people over, especially in the wake of stuff like Uvalde and the way that Abbott and Patrick responded. But for whatever reason, he's still not breaking through on a statewide in a statewide election, and maybe somebody else could, perhaps a woman.
It's kind of similar to Stacey Abrams in Georgia. In a sense, very comparable. Where like they do a lot of good groundwork and grassroots, campaigning when it comes to like everybody else, but their own campaigns can see to get over the edge, whether it's the governorship for Beto or the Senate seat back in 2018 as well too. Same thing.
Yeah,
it's weird. I don't understand it. So Sinema's gonna be an independent. She said. A lot of people believe that it won't affect really much of the Senate because she still votes mostly with Democrats anyway, so it shouldn't really impact as much as we think it is.
Yeah, I mean, unless she's ultimately making a move back towards the right and ready to buddy up.
Wait, what do you mean back to the right? She was.
I just mean drifting that way.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Back like she'd been there.
Oh, I mean like Tulsi Gabbard.
Victim of my own syntax, but yeah, doing a Tulsi Gabbard, that would be a great apt comparison.
She frustrates me because a lot of her policies, at least 4 years ago, I agree 100% on, but again, look, there are things on the Democratic side you and I agree on, especially too where they get it wrong, but she never calls out the other side. Never. So nothing goes wrong on the right hand side. It's always the left and Biden this. Okay, we agree. But when there's voting rights issues,
most of the shots you take at the DNC leadership and whatnot, and the way you got screwed in 2016, all valid gripes. But the tap dancing you do on Fox News isn't a good
look. It's disingenuous in my opinion.
And there's so many weird like foreign policy things now, and like war hockey type things, and it's like I know she was in the military and everything, but Jesus Christ, like what?
Yeah, but wasn't she like? What is she, the thing she got me on honestly was on the defense spending that she was pro cutting that, which was like, whoa, military hawk, and you're still anti floating the and now where's she at now? I mean, did she change on guns? Did she change on UBI? Did she change on universal health care? Because those are the things that she got me to actually pay attention to her as common sense.
Yeah, I mean she was basically running the Our Revolution platform. Isn't that Bernie's group? I can't think of the name.
I think so. She was a Bernie Democrat at one point, closer to Bernie than most Democrats.
That's what got her kicked out of the DNC. Ultimately, was she was the only one in leadership that was saying that you need to stop torpedoing Bernie and all of this.
Although Mark, there is, and we said this far back as 2016. You and I even agree with that. There is a bit of an intersection between the Bernie left and the Trump right. There's a little bit of an intersection at times.
No, yeah, there is
some.
This like it's like there's this like secret hallway that exists between like the far left and far right, and I think it's obvious. It's a lot of people who don't read. And who wanna jump on bandwagons and want to be part of a group, and so they're they're the people who are easily susceptible to like populism. Just kind of broadly, they are easily captivated by populism.
Right.
And so Bernie, Trump. It kind of depends on who catches them at the right moment or who's the last voice in the room or, however you want to describe it. But they're not really ideologically motivated. It's not like they really know what they're doing or talking about. They're just kind of riding a wave.
Yeah. There's some of that definitely too. I saw a thing a couple days ago, maybe even yesterday, for all the talk about the grabbing the soul of the GOP between Donald Trump and whoever, Ron DeSantis or whoever it may be. New poll came out yesterday that shows Ron DeSantis what is actually favorable over among likely Republican voters over Donald Trump again. So I keep hearing these two things. I keep hearing, DeSantis could be the next guy, but then you see some of these polls that Trump still leads in, and people believe that Trump's hold on the party is still, at least in that 30% bracket of Republican voters, is still strong. And yet, we're seeing more and more polling that shows that DeSantis is more favorable among that party's voters. I'm confused now.
The thing that gives me pause is that the conversation is almost exactly the same as it was in 2015. People were saying then Trump can't win, he's trailing in this, somebody looks better in that, likely Republican voters are saying this, and then he ran through the primaries and stomped out everybody. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. There's a lot of people out there in the Republican base that still go to Trump rallies and believe a lot of the the worst of that horse shit. So I guess we'll see once 2024 gets here and we start actually having primaries. But it seems at least the narrative around Trump is changing. And even like the governor of Arkansas was out there did an interview kind of talking down. Fox has obviously said they are no longer going to platform him in the ways that they had previously. A lot of the Republican leadership is not supportive of his run, and so we'll see if he can sort of he's more or less being ousted from the circle, and the people that are peddling his nonsense that are not him are losing, which is the biggest frustration to Republican leadership, is most of the biggest Trump-backed candidates got their
Carrie Lake,
yeah,
Herschel Walker.
Exactly. They all got their asses handed to them. So,
but do you believe it though? Like, at the end of the day, you still have to check the lever. And I said earlier in the pod, there are Republicans that they do feel that way, but they won't go public with it because they know the fear if they go public with it being anti-Trump.
They've been holding their nose about him since 2016 when it became clear they were going to be stuck with him for a while.
But there's a difference between 2016 and now, though. Trump, whether you like him or not, Donald Trump, we knew nothing. He had nothing to run on in terms of accomplishments or lack of. 2015. This was a fresh new face into the arena. And you had what at the time 16, 17 like different candidates for nomination. Jeb Bush and Ben Carson and Ted Cruz, you name it.
Yeah, I think it was up to 16.
Right. So like right now you have maybe three. You have Donald Trump, who just announced already a couple weeks ago. You have Ron DeSantis, who hasn't announced yet, but I mean the expectation that he will probably try to run in 2024. Mike Pence, whatever. And then maybe a random Republican.
Well, okay. Look, I mean,
small
the usual suspects are gonna probably try because they're arrogant assholes.
You think so? You think so? You think you wait?
Cruz,
you think wait?
Christie,
you think
I wouldn't be surprised if any of them try it.
The goal would be to steal
Rubio.
votes from Trump. The only reason they do that is to steal votes from Trump.
Maybe.
To get the more quote unquote electable Republican candidate in there.
I don't know. I just think you're all a bunch of idiots.
You're right, and that might backfire. That could still backfire.
Yeah, it's giving the Democrats funding far right crazy people in primaries because they think they'll be easier to beat in generals. It smells a lot like that.
I mean, it's not a game plan that I would necessarily would ever want to do again. It did work actually in this midterms, but trying it a second time, I would not try it a second time.
No,
Democrats got lucky. I think also Democrats got lucky because not only because of that, but also because of the fact that you did have the Uvalde shooting, you did have Roe v. Wade get overturned. That was obviously what lessened the pressure there.
Look, we've been talking about like the rise of authoritarianism and autocracy and oligarchy for years now, globally. You have to be really careful stoking and giving oxygen to these assholes, because one of these days, some crazy ultra right fascist who can speak and, organize their thoughts in a way that is, palpable to large groups of people, is going to come along and is going to unite the worst among us.
Yeah.
And if you're giving them, seats in Congress, or handing them easy wins because it's a district you don't really give a shit about or don't think you can win in, like, our democracy is a lot more fragile than I think most people realize, and it's at a point that is more fragile than it's been in a long time.
Yeah. No. I look, if you ask right now, if you end 2022, how I feel about the Republican Party right now in terms of like who will be the nominee, I still say Donald Trump, but I think the odds are a lot lesser than it was, say, like 2 months ago, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, and we're what, 13, 14 months from the first primary
caucus? Yeah.
Well, Iowa caucuses aren't going to be first.
Yeah, no.
For the Democrats.
Right, and by the way, that was the thing I wanted to talk about also on the pod. That was the thing I was telling you pre-show that.
Oh, the DNC's proposed
the DNC,
schedule,
South Carolina as opposed to Iowa. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if Ron DeSantis intends to run in 2024, he's playing very smart. Let Trump dig his own hole. Let Trump hang out with Kanye West and that piece of shit Nick Fuentes and stuff, and fucking Milo Yiannopoulos, who actually now also had a brain and decided to undo himself from those two guys. All of a sudden out of nowhere because of what's going on there. Ron DeSantis is playing it smart. Let Trump dig his own grave, and then you come in and swoop in there later on, announce later. The capital that Ron DeSantis has right now on the party right now, and could still get, depending on how Donald Trump continues to dig his own grave, by middle of 2023, he can announce and he's all gravy.
What's that line from Moneyball when they're going through the montage of the team getting better, and it's like, and Billy Dean says to the team, he's like, when your opponents are making mistakes, don't stop them.
So I say, Ron's playing the right way, and and I gotta tell you, I mean, maybe I don't know if it's because of the deplatforming. Well, he's back on Twitter now, although he hasn't posted yet. But okay,
Twitter's a sinking ship anyway.
Right. Trump announces, okay, cool. I don't think a lot of people care. I don't feel the same energy that I did in 2020 and 2016. Well, I don't feel that energy.
And not to give them too much credit, but it has to do a lot with, big media not giving him all the free airtime. Like, think about, late 2015, early 2016, how much free before it really started to go off the rails. Right. I mean, he was saying horrid shit from day one, obviously, but once you started really seeing it in debates, like you started feeling the pullback a little bit, there was a little less coverage on some of the left wing and more like, network news and stuff like that. But they were still giving him a ton of free airtime. That's not happening now.
Yeah.
So it's only the worst of the worst, and it's 1 second. It's not leading the A block in a 15-minute segment.
Yeah. Do you think it changes? Because like for example, he has another major announcement coming very soon. Like whatever. I look. All right, whatever. I just don't see like
my eyes could not roll harder. Like
he's burned out all the capital. Any little capital he had left with the
man incited a armed insurrection against the capital of the United States, and he's still somehow eligible to run for president.
And while preaching the big lie.
Fuck are we doing?
And still preaching the big lie. And still preaching the lie about the election was stolen.
65% of Republicans believe that the election was stolen. Still,
it boggles my mind. And they might ask for proof, or they can't show proof.
well, although next week the J6 committee in the House is voting on criminal referrals. They're having their final hearing and voting on criminal referrals to the Justice Department, which I think they kind of have to do, because otherwise, what the fuck was the point? It's not like you're going to get Trump before Congress. It's not like you're going to be able to impeach him again.
No,
like,
no.
You know, they have to do it, I think, and they have to turn over to the Justice Department. You know, I'm sure they've already given everything they're finding to the Justice Department, but if they haven't, their report, I would think, is going to be a major part of Merrick Garland's work in all of these ongoing investigations and their continued investigation into the events that led up to J6. So, I hope that torpedoes his ability to be president. I hope he gets indicted. I hope he gets tried. I hope he gets convicted. I hope he's held accountable for, how many lawsuits is between his companies and his person is the president facing, between Georgia, New York, Manhattan specifically, and then now what could come down with all the federal stuff? It's get this man out of the way.
Another political thing here I saw this morning. First Lady Joe Biden reportedly all in on a 2024 bid, a Joe Biden bid. This is a far
of course
shift.
She's gonna say that.
This is a big shift from where she was a couple months ago, though, where she wasn't.
Well, yeah, but he's already said it. This is, it's more or less the same thing he did to President Obama on saying he supports gay marriage. President Obama was being wishy-washy on it and not ready to say the thing openly. And Joe Biden kind of beat him to the punch and forced him to be like, well, I guess, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Same. It's kind of the same thing here. He said he was going to do it. So what, is the first lady not going to say she supports him? Fox and OAN and right-wing Twitter and assholes like Andy Ngo eat that up, and it becomes a story for a month. Joe's so senile and can't think. His wife doesn't even want him to run again.
But this is the I told you in the last pod. I had the fear I had, with the Biden thing, is that nice guy. I'm sure he's a great grandfather, but not the best optics to have running for the president of the United States. Yeah. And
running at 80 years old, what?
Not only that, but as you said, the thing that the midterms did for Democrats and for Joe Biden is that it gave him the path now to say, oh, things aren't as bad as it seems because we didn't do as bad as we thought in the midterms. Oh, I could probably still be viable for 2024, and I still believe that he's not the best option for 2024 to Democrats.
He's absolutely not.
But Mark, here's the question though. We say, well, we and you and I agree on this. We both 100% agree on that. Who? If not him, then who?
I don't know. There's got to be a member of Congress, a governor. There's somebody that we don't know. But if they keep just running out the same recycled squad of
another Hillary bid, come on, no
DNC puppets, you bite your fucking tongue. Bite your fucking tongue. Don't do that to me.
Let's scare you.
Don't even put that into the universe.
Another Bernie Sanders bit. Bernie, I'm not sure you agree with him on policy, but he's too old. Exactly. Older too. He's older than Joe Biden.
No, and frankly, the squad is kind of disingenuous. They've got some issues. It's. I don't know who the answer is. I really don't.
So it's Joe Biden. You get mad all you want, but that's the fact. If no one's bringing any other option to the table, then you go for the options you have now. He did beat Donald Trump in an election. He'll probably do. I think he'll be.
I think we have at least 6 months to figure this out. 6-ish months.
Maybe Cory Booker could no stab. No.
Not even close.
No.
The people I like, I don't think can win because America is racist and sexist. But, I don't know.
Then it's settled. It's Joe Biden, Marc Francois.
No.
Sorry to bust your bubble, buddy.
I reserve the right. I defer on the toss.
Yeah. I plead the fifth. Fifth.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not I'm not gonna reevaluate this until at least the end of the first quarter.
Yeah. Oh, one last political thing. You had mentioned you teased a little while ago that the Democrats are changing the caucus schedule. Normally it starts in
I
Iowa.
think they proposed it. I don't think that
Proposed it
they.
rather.
Yeah,
Normally it starts in Iowa, then New Hampshire, then South Carolina, that kind of thing.
yeah.
They're proposing that South Carolina be the first stop. South Carolina, of course, historically is where Joe Biden really, was resuscitated because his campaign
Yeah,
was
yeah.
shit in 2020
Congressman,
until
yeah,
James
Jim
Clyburn.
Clyburn,
Jim
yeah,
Clyburn, yep.
he saved, the day for Joe Biden and basically single handedly grabbed him by his back and like went yoink and
Weekend at
brought him
Bernie's.
back up into the
Weekend at
race.
Bernie's shit. Say Bubble Life. Yeah, Bubble Life.
Yeah.
Why is that a big deal though? This whole thing with the moving into schedule.
Well, I mean, for one, because Iowa and New Hampshire are two states that are in no way, shape, or form representative of the larger American electorate. Even the Democrats there tend to, tinge more centrist, overwhelmingly white. Like it's not a representative sample of America.
Correct, but
And
isn't South Carolina also early in the schedule where even if you don't do well in those two states, Iowa, New Hampshire, you can still make up ground in South Carolina and beyond?
I would think, but there's no good reason that Iowa and New Hampshire should be first. For example, Iowa being first was, as if I may not be getting this exactly right because I'm paraphrasing, but during the 1972 election,
Okay.
I believe it was either 68 or 72.
One of the Nixon ones.
Yeah, one of the Nixon ones. He or was it Carter who went there early, and then it was Nixon who went to Iowa early, and started putting in groundwork for the caucuses prior to the New Hampshire primary, because at that time New Hampshire was first.
Okay.
And then it gave him a jolt going into New Hampshire.
Okay.
And then that kind of set the tone, and then Iowa just sort of became first by default. Again, I might be getting some of the details of that wrong, but I think I've got like the overarching,
The gist, right?
The gist of it exactly. Yeah, there's really no good reason that Iowa or New Hampshire should be first. They're tiny states. They're not representative of the American electorate. They're not a good sample. And to to put not too fine a point on it, there's hardly any black folks there. There's no black folks. There's very few brown folks. The AAPI voting bloc is the fastest growing voter group in the United States. And, the Democrats are not really paying attention to that. And without looking at a demographic breakdown, I'd venture to guess that New Hampshire and Iowa probably don't have a ton of AAPI representation in the electorate either. So, yeah, starting with a place like South Carolina, obviously, I think you should start with states like California and New York, because those are actually representative of the electorate, or a little more representative of the electorate by virtue of their size. Florida, but yeah, I support it personally. I thought Iowa and New Hampshire were important in forming the platform message that would ultimately get taken into the convention, and they elevate the voices and issues that are not necessarily broadly applicable.
Makes sense. Your thoughts on Brittany Griner? She's home. Your thoughts on everything that's played out since then, the reaction and all that stuff. What do you think?
It's wonderful that she's home. It's taken way too long. The whole fact of her trial and conviction and everything, that was a sham. That was all part of the diplomatic chess match that Putin was playing, and that his goons were playing. But what about Paul Whelan? How trade a weapons trafficker for a basketball player who was smuggling drugs? Like, the criticisms are so gross, so disingenuous, so homophobic, misogynist, and racist. It's not even funny. And it completely dismisses things like the fact that Brittany Griner is also an Olympic gold medalist who has represented this country with honor and distinction, to the extent that she's capable. And she has been an ambassador for the sport and for the nation on the global stage for years. And so to diminish all of that and to suggest that, that work is not being done to bring other prisoners home, or that, because we were not able to bring others home, that the joy and celebration around Brittany being home isn't a good thing. It's just also gross. It's also fucking gross.
Right.
Like Bernice King made a great tweet about it that I'd shared on Instagram, and it was, along the lines of like, you can still be upset about injustice in imprisonment and criminal justice at home. You can still be upset about the people that are being held abroad. And you can also be happy that Brittany Griner is home with her family where she belongs.
Right. That's my point. Still, like, it's okay to
they can all be true.
Yeah, you can be uncomfortable about the trade. Was it lopsided by virtue of the situation, by virtue of the chart of the charge of maybe a guy?
Well, yeah, but you have to keep in mind too. There was, by all reports, there was no conversation to be had about exchanging any prisoners in Russian custody other than Brittany Griner, and there was no person, like, it was a non-starter. Like, this was the only deal that was going to bring her home, and the Russians were very firm on that.
Right, and the idea that they didn't try.
Are we gonna sit there and let Brittany Griner languish in prison when we have an opportunity to bring her home so that we can make a point about the other things? No, the fuck we're not. Well, we're gonna bring her home.
And that's the thing. A lot of this is disingenuous because, like, first off, no one knew who Paul Whelan was until literally a month ago. A year ago.
Part.
You didn't know about it.
It's all the same people who became epidemiologists in 2020 and election science, election tabulation experts in late 2020 are now fucking international diplomacy experts and understand complex negotiations of, that exist between nation states, and they have a complex working understanding of the finite elements of the criminal justice systems in two fucking nations. Get the fuck out of here.
That's what I'm saying. And only that,
you are so stupid.
And let's be real. Paul Whelan was captured in 2018. Who was president in 2018? Okay, I mean, you make it sound like, oh, this is a Joe Biden problem, and I'm not even saying I'm not even blaming Donald Trump either.
What about the 2 years he was in prison that President Trump was in power and in a position to do something because he had such a great relationship with Vladimir Putin?
Right.
And what about the fact that also, you want to talk about President Trump a little more and what he did as far as prisoner exchanges? He released the 5,000 Taliban fighters from Guantanamo Bay and sent them back to Afghanistan. What did they do? They retook the fucking country.
Right. But no,
President Trump could have got Paul Whelan home.
And I've asked my friends that. Who are Trumpers and Republicans, and they have no goddamn word to say to me about it.
Because there's nothing.
These are facts. because at the end of the day, a lot of
the math don't match.
Right. All they care about is owning the libs. It doesn't fit the narrative. And that's sad. It's a sad thing.
That was one of the conversations that was being had kind of on election night of like, well, what's going to happen? And in the way, all of the sort of infighting and cannibalism that's happening now that the Republicans are actually in charge of the House. In a lot of ways, they're the dog who caught the car because they don't know what the fuck to do with leadership because all they've ever done is oppose things for the last 10-ish years. And so all they do is say no. Whatever the idea is, nope, not down. Nope, not down. That's grooming. That's this. That's anti-white. That like it's gonna make little white kids cry. Whatever. But they don't actually have ideals. They don't actually have plans. They don't actually have policies. They just want money, control,
when it comes
to own the libs.
When it comes down to policy argument, it falls dead in the floor.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
You dig this much. You dig 6 inches into any kind of Republican talking point or policy position, and it doesn't hold up because at the end of the day, it's like, all right, so what is your solution? You don't like any of these solutions. What is your solution, Madam Congresswoman, or
Right.
Senator McConnell? What is your position? What is your suggestion? Well, I do not know.
Oh my god, that was amazing. That was amazing. It's funny because I was watching the Lincoln Project documentary last night. I finished up finally, and he was highlighted in the last part of the last episode. And like,
you can't really see it on the outside because I got a beard, but you just gotta
bro, I
drop your
dude.
your tongue down in the back of your throat there and sound like you got a saddlebag under your chin.
Dude, I fall asleep half sentence in speeches. Half sentence. First sentence, I'm asleep. He's like struggling to get the words out.
No, he is the evil racist turtle, man. It's awful. And but no, none of these people have ideas. They don't have a platform. All they do is say no and stoke fear. It's
right.
Where are the caravan? Where's the caravan of migrant terrorists and rapists that is coming to invade our country?
But the sad part, is that they're still making gains on just fringe issues.
No, they absolutely are. Because there's just a lot of shitty, racist, xenophobic, transphobic people in this country that buy into that crap.
Yeah.
70 million people voted for President Trump or something like that, wasn't it?
74 million, I think it was.
74 million people. So there you go. There's 74 million assholes that buy into all this crap.
I won't go that far as the all assholes.
I'm kidding.
Right.
At this point, if you still can stand with President Trump in the wake of January 6th, yeah, you're an asshole who's like you're. I'm sorry. You are supporting somebody who. Like, you are looking at your black friends, you are looking at your gay friends, you are looking at your trans and non-binary friends and saying, look, I know this guy wants to harm you and wants to oppress you, but like my 401k is kind of more important. So I love you, but I'm still gonna vote for this guy that wants to put you in a concentration camp.
Right. Just don't say you care about me. That's all. Just don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me. Just be honest.
No, it's like if after everything we've seen, if after the big lie, after January 6th, all of this, you can still try to make some bullshit. Oh well, he's shaking things up, or he's gonna. No, I'm sorry. You're just a dick. You're dumb.
At the end of the day, I just hope there is actually someone on that side of the aisle that actually is sensible. On that front.
Yeah. Look, if you want to support a Republican candidate that is not a morally bankrupt, racist, xenophobe, sure. Like I can agree to disagree on the policy with you, but of late, there's nobody coming up that actually has a policy argument to make. It's just build walls, cut funding, buy guns, and protect white babies in public school. Like,
all right, let's get something a little lighthearted. Your boys are playing better than the Lakers.
Yeah, they look like a team. Anthony Davis went on that nice run of like 11 straight 30-point plus games. He had that 55 and 17. Like, no, things are. I mean, they're
so right now
they're not a dumpster fire like
not anymore.
City Council.
Yes, true. 11-6. We'll get it in a second. 11-16 right now in the overall 12th in the West, but there's still a lot to go. A lot of cannibalizing going on in the Western Conference outside the top two teams, New Orleans and Phoenix, of course, and Memphis. So look, I'm not going to sit here and say the Lakers are a championship contender still, but are they a playoff contender? I'll say yeah.
I think they can make a push. Maybe there's some moves that get made between now and the trade deadline. There's some after the trade deadline stuff that sometimes still happens that I don't fully understand the mechanics of. But players move, players move. So between now and Valentine's Day, I imagine a lot could change. Still.
It's gotten quieter on the Westbrook front, though. I will say that on the trade rumors of Westbrook's been very quiet lately.
Well, it's interesting. I've listened to more interviews with like long form podcast interviews with Darvin Ham recently, and that actually makes a lot of sense to me why Russell Westbrook is fitting better. Because as I understand Darvin Ham's personality and kind of retrospectively remembering and being reminded of the kind of player he was, like with the Detroit team in '04 and stuff like that. It's making a lot more sense to me why Russ has been able to find a groove, because it's, Darvin seems like a coach that is going to be able to connect with him.
Right.
Like it's the type of dude that Russ is going to respect if he criticize if coach is giving him shit for something. I feel like it's a guy that Russ is going to hear. He's going to take the guidance, and I'm not to say that Russ is uncoachable or anything like that, but I just feel like he's going to respect the place it comes from. He's going to take the guidance, and it seems to be bearing out on the court.
Yeah.
There's certainly talk on LA radio of like, is he a six man? Does he make a run for six man of the year or something like that? So
I can see it.
Yeah. I mean, the numbers are there.
Yeah, the numbers definitely are there. No doubt about that. But yeah, I mean, like, I think this is a team that can still compete for playoff spot. I think we'll see how everything goes. Now they gotta stay healthy, of course. I mean, that's the first one. Anthony Davis, especially, gotta stay healthy. It seems like this is the first.
And I mean, you've got 2 to 3. You've got 3 legitimate stars on your team right now. They're not a championship triad, unfortunately. But look at the 07-08 season. The Lakers were barely, going to be limping into the playoffs. It was kind of almost the exact same conversation we would have been having in, December of 07. And then all of a sudden, a couple of trades happen and some pieces move, and now the Lakers are rallying down the stretch in the springtime. So I don't think that's outside the realm of possibilities here, because arguably we've got a better platform on which to build than they did in 07.
Have you watched any Pelicans games this year?
I've watched a few here and there when they popped up on TNT. They are so fucking fun to watch,
aren't they?
I mean, isn't BI injured right now? I thought he was out. Not like season-ending injury or anything, but like a few games at least. But Zion's jumping out of the gym. Like, dude, they look fun. I love watching them scrap the other night with the Suns getting up in there. I can't stand the Suns. Like, Chris Paul and Devin Booker just bug the shit out of me.
You know what? Look, for all the defending I've done of Chris Paul through the years, I'm done with Chris Paul. I really am. He's dirty as fuck. He's an asshole, dude. He's Alvarado. I'm done.
Well, I like him and Alvarado going at it, but individually, I don't particularly like either one of them. Like, Alvarado's funny to me though, because it's not like he's a star in the league. He's like Patrick Beverley. You know what I mean? He's a guy that's making a name for himself. He probably has a good social media following and some good endorsements that come through his brand partners and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm here for his antics, because it's not like he's going to be a dunking point guard or something. So have your fun. But Chris Paul is like a top 5 point guard in history, and he's pulling this dirty shit, elbowing people in the face.
If he's 5,
I mean,
he's 5.
You could make the argument, and that he's in the top 5. He's probably not in my top 5. I haven't really thought about it, but no, you're just like, dude, really? You're supposed to be like, kind of one of the old, like, you're part of that old guard who's supposed to get a farewell tour and stuff. And honestly, he's ending up a lot like Isaiah Thomas, where I feel like his peers outside of maybe LeBron and Melo really don't fuck with him.
Yeah. At least Isaiah has rings, though.
Huh?
At least Isaiah has rings.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's that.
At least he's got 2 rings, and he can always say that, he effectively ended Showtime.
Yeah, he beat Magic, beat Bird.
He beat Bird,
beat Magic,
and he held down Jordan.
Yeah,
Jordan couldn't get past him without a second All-Star. So there. I mean, obviously Isaiah's legacy you and I have talked about forever. But yeah, it's like, dude, you can't be that grimy and not have the receipts.
Yeah. No, by the way, you're right. Ingram is out with a toe injury. He's out.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, in general, he's really matured into a bona fide all-star
Oh,
and a really fun player to watch. A
no, yeah,
really.
no,
I was high on him even when the Lakers were abysmal though, and I was telling you on this very show that like that kid is going to be really good.
yeah, yeah.
If he figures it out, he puts on a little weight. Like his footwork is nice. He was 19 and practically 7 feet tall, just looking like a whole baby deer out there. But yeah, he got his man muscles. He locked in on some of the fundamental stuff, and he's nice. He's nice with it.
Much like Anthony Davis, I worry about him, Zion, his health. If they are healthy, I could see this team playing the conference finals this year.
Although, I mean, didn't Zion trim down a lot?
He did.
Too?
That's good.
He's lost like 30 or 40 pounds, something like that. 35 pounds.
That was great.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to. I mean, Charles Barkley, who was like a bruisey build type player, was even saying he's like the kid's he's gotta lose some weight or his joints are gonna give out.
Right. No, I can see this team playing the conference finals.
It's one thing if you're Shaq, you can run at 300 pounds when you've got like ankles this thick.
But Shaq also wasn't that big early in his career. He was actually skinny
he didn't get big until much later.
Lakers years, yeah. All that LA food you eating, all that Mexican food out there. All right, one last thing before we get out of here. Major League Baseball offseason, well on the way. Both our teams. You're a Dodgers fan. I'm a Mets fan. Making some moves. You guys re-signed Kershaw to a 1-year deal. You lost. Is Bellinger still there, right? Oh no, Bellinger's gone, right?
Nope. He signed a deal. He signed, I believe, a 1-year deal with the Cubs.
Right.
And then Trey Turner signed with the Phillies, which broke my heart. But
that kind of money, though, is he worth that kind of money, Trey Turner?
Yeah, the glove was lacking a little bit last year. It was not where it has been with him because I think he has won Gold Gloves in the past.
I'm only asking because I see that.
But he was right there in the hunt for MVP with the bat. But from what I'm hearing, somebody told me, I forget who, that he just hated playing in the West Coast.
Okay, no, I'm just asking because I've heard a lot of criticism from people who know even more than I do about baseball, which I love it. That they're very critical of the deal itself. It was too much money in too much years.
Well, people thought Philly overpaid for Real Muto and Bryce Harper, and it just won him a pennant. So,
and that's the lay of the land now. Like somebody was telling me about like how like all these deals about with Judge, this long-term deal, and who's it recently? Carlos Correa recently, and I told him, listen, this is, whatever it may be, this is the market. Sorry. If teams won't pay this kind of money, the only reason teams are doing this amount of years is because it's less money on the year to year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Machado deal was like 13 years or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If the players are going to sign what the market will bear, and Scott Boras and people like him are going to go for the jugular at every turn. Yeah. And frankly, there's no such thing as overpaying a player to me. I'm sorry, because it just does. Like when you look at the wealth share of what's happening, do I love that there's that much money flying around in baseball and that they have the ability to do that, like on a broader, moralistic standpoint? No, Of course not. But if anybody's going to get paid in there, I want it to be the players and the coaches, and not the managers, But give it to the players. Let the players get paid to hell and back. Who cares? Because part of it also, I think, is important is that baseball being the free market, free for all that it is, as far as contract negotiations and everything, is really important in the balance of power with collective bargaining across all professional sports. Like the NBA and the MLB and the things that their players get, I feel like, especially the more that players and celebrities are friends and you have all these people hanging out across leagues and stuff, and NBA players hanging out with football players and stuff, it's going to drag the NFL into the 21st century, which it still isn't, Right. I think it's important. It's like from a labor standpoint, having baseball have the players getting the gravy that they do is really important.
Yeah. No, my boys lost DeGrom. We gained Verlander.
And we just signed Noah Syndergaard yesterday.
I saw that. Another 1 year deal, right?
Yeah, 1 year deal. I don't know how that's going to play out for us. I honestly, I don't know enough about the Dodgers farm system right now and the kids on the way up, but this feels like kind of a natural culling of the lineup, because it's sort of the same thing we did for a while when Jock Peterson, Cody Bellinger, and Corey Seager and Julio Urias,
right.
For the last 10 years, those four were like the untouchable prospects, untradeable assets in so many ways. I would imagine we got a few of those kind of in the farm system right now. I don't know who they are because I haven't been listening to like the Dodgers radio station enough.
Right.
But I don't love the way our lineup's constructed right now, and I hope that things shape up by April.
I don't hate, I'm sad DeGrom is gone, but I don't hate that he left because of the fact that the money that because look, he only won 5 starts last year.
Yeah.
He's not available. And
I mean, look, he's had years where he's been untouchable, unhittable, and put up.
And he's still great when healthy.
And yeah, but it's not obviously something's missing. That it wasn't the team that like with Scherzer and DeGrom that was getting people there. I think Verlander needs to be a second or third starter.
Well, it's him and Max. They're both old guys anyway. But what? Yeah. The reason why I like the Verlander move is
Scherzer's still fucking dirt filthy though.
This is my thing though. This is why I don't mind the Verlander. This is why I don't mind the Verlander deal, because it's not long-term deals. You're paying upfront, you're paying early, and it keeps the title window open for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work, then we're not committed to him more than 2 years. So no big deal. You know what I'm saying? So, and you know what? And they Mets fans, ain't your fucking money. It's Steve Cohen's money, not yours. Gives a shit. So I didn't hate the deal. Your thoughts? Well, last thing here before we get to go. Aaron Judge and his return to New York. 9 years, 360. Yeah.
Mazel tov, buddy.
What do you think?
Get that bag. He's gonna be a Jeter in New York potentially. Yeah. He has sort of the building blocks of getting the captain honors, which only happens every so often in Yankees history. So no, he smells like a captain. You know what I mean? He's got that like he's got the look of the longevity. He fits the New York vibe. I mean, he's got a section named after him already in the outfield. No, I think he's gonna be a fixture in New York for a long time to come.
And what you said there about the value, like all that alone, it goes beyond baseball on the field. Just everything else off the field, the marketing thing. It made sense.
Well, yeah, because not everybody. I mean, as we've seen and discussed, and it happens time and again in every sport. Not everybody is cut out for New York.
Nope.
You can be a great ball player. You can be a great quarterback. You can be a great shooting guard. Not everybody's cut out for New York.
Well, you are. You'll be going there very soon.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. That actually is just getting locked up. It looks like I'm going to be moving probably in February.
Oh, wow. Very soon. Very, very soon.
Yeah.
From the West Coast to the East Coast, Marc Francois. All right, Mark. Thanks on the pod as always. Great job. We hit on everything like we want to hit on today. No stone unturned. Politics, baseball, basketball.
No stone unturned. Oh, one little item.
Go ahead.
Everybody needs to take a moment and look at the shit show that is the Los Angeles City Council. And
right.
Take a lesson to hold your local officials accountable. Politics are local. Right now, the city of Los Angeles and its city council are an absolute disaster. So a lot of people probably saw the story. It went nationally viral where a few weeks back, 3 members of the LA City Council, including the council president, Nuri Martinez, but also Gil Cedillo and Kevin De Leon, were all caught on tape, or a tape was released from a previous meeting where they were saying really horrible things about Oaxacans, about Black folks, went so far as to call one of the other city councilmen's Black son a little monkey. It it's really, really, really ugly. And protests have been ongoing since it happened. Even President Biden compelled Nuri Martinez to resign, which she did. But Kevin De Leon has held firm. There were protests at his house until he moved to another undisclosed location. He's been still trying to participate in city council despite these protests, and then it culminated this week where he assaulted an activist at a Christmas event. Like, he shoved and tackled a guy, and his people were being really rough with this person and trying to say that the man attacked the city councilman, which is just completely without base, and you can see it in the video. But, you know, we criminalize homelessness in Los Angeles. We invest in the police to the tune of like 20 and 30% of our city budget, when we spend less than 5% each on homelessness, housing, education, and healthcare. And this is a common trend in a lot of cities. City councils run roughshod over their residents and their constituents. So, quote unquote, like liberal LA is a dystopian nightmare in City Hall. And so, yeah, take it as a lesson to focus on your city council, know who represents you, know what they're talking about, know what they're spending your money on, and how they're spending your money and what services they're providing for you, because LA is a goddamn mess, and all of these people got to go.
I'm with you, man. Mark, have a great holidays.
Absolutely. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff.
And barring any other like emergencies that happen between now and New Year's, this is probably the last pod of 2022.
All right.
We'll be back in 2023, obviously.
Yeah, unless the democracy absolutely catches on fire between now and New Year's.
Exactly. Great job, man.
Thank you, sir.